Now, before we take to a halftime break, it gives me great pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Tina Clark. Tina is a Laurentide broker and specializes in identifying, implementing, and delivering tailor-made financial solutions for her clients. Tina also has many philanthropic pursuits, including serving as a director of the Michelle Richmond Foundation, which raises much-needed funds for the Kipchumba Children's Home in Kenya, Africa. I really want to know more about that, actually. That sounds really fascinating. Here to discuss financing for small business, please welcome Tina Clark. How are you doing?
Hi, how are you doing? Very good, thank you.
Oh, I'm doing fantastic.
You did very well to pronounce Kipchumba. I still can't say it. I'm a director of it.
I did look it up online. I was like, I've never heard of that place before.
No, it's only tiny. We've only got about 55 kids, and they're street kids too, so they can't be orphaned out. So,
really?
Yeah, a lot of people just, if they can't look after their children, they tend to just leave them on the side of the road. So we take them into their home and give them a safe place to live.
Wow.
So,
and how often do you go back there?
I haven't been for a while because of COVID's come, but I've actually been there twice. And one of the trips there, I actually had to sit, they sent me down, didn't realize the kids didn't have any underwear. So they sent me down to local shops, and I had to sit and sift through multiple pairs of undies because people donate their crappy undies. Don't ask me why.
They do.
And so we just, yeah, exactly. So I ended up buying 150 pairs of kids' undies from the local shops.
They're at least cleaned though, right?
They are clean, thank goodness, but there's a lot without elastic.
Oh, okay. So you definitely had to get a bit MacGyver with that.
Well, that's exactly right. So that was an experience that I'll sort of never forget. And yeah, next time I go, I'll just go to one of the big shops and buy a bundle of undies. It'll be easier.
just go to Kmart before you jump over and just get.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right. Yeah. So yeah, no, but that one's a sort of labour of love because I've been there a couple of times and the kids are all just so happy that I couldn't say no.
No, of course not. And I mean, that's just so, it's so amazing. I think it's a testament to the fact that we can all be, some of us can be really focused on obviously, servicing clients and building business. And obviously, of course, creating better conditions for our workers and staff if we have, if we're in bigger enterprises and so forth, which are all, noble pursuits in our own sort of orbit. But it's sort of important to remember that there is another world out there, particularly there are other countries that, don't have as much as we have. And so the fact that you're doing that is just so amazing. Yeah, so hats off to you with that.
Thank you.
So sort of bringing it back to the sort of the finance side and the small business side back here in Australia. First question for you is, what does it mean to be finance ready?
Finance ready, that just means to go and see Miles. He's already given you a detailed list of what he goes through and what you should be looking at for your small business. So when it comes to those numbers, the P&L and the balance sheet and your cash flow statement, they actually do tell a story. I know a lot of small business owners don't realize that, but the story that they tell us will help you get finance. So when you're looking to raise money or go to the bank and ask for money, it's like, well, what do you need the money for? How long you've been in business? When was the last time you actually did talk with your accountant and actually had a chat with them and find out what the numbers look like? The biggest one we're finding at the moment is the tax debt that Andrew did touch on. The tax department has not asked for loans or asked for their money back for the last 2 to 3 years coming out of COVID. And now they want their money back because...
Yes, I've been reading. They're on the prowl.
They are on the prowl. So if you don't want to approach the banks for finance and get the bigger money, then by all means enter into an arrangement with the tax office. But if you're looking for bigger money, looking for equipment for your business, and you've got a long-term effect, then seriously think of other ways to get the money. Can you hold off on your financing, or use Andrew's product to pay it? Or I don't know, or just other products, or just come and talk to us and find out a way to pay it, because it could stop you from accessing bigger amounts of money if you do have a tax debt. So,
and I think that's the biggest shock too, because it's something that's easy to forget about. I personally just did my very first BAS statement just gone, because I just registered for GST in August. And I think one of the things that was, it's simple. I'm not dealing with multi-millions of dollars, unfortunately, but it was still, that transition was still, I had a couple of mentors who helped me through that process, because I was like, I want to be able to do this. I want to be able to understand it, but it can be a bit daunting. And I'm not going to lie. Like, before I pushed that BP button to push it out, I was like, I hope I did this correctly.
Well,
I had only a small debt, so I can imagine people with much larger numbers. It must be quite daunting.
Well, that's it too. And because you think you're doing really, really well, you got all this cash in the bank, everything's going along smoothly, and then the tax office bill comes in. It's a common occurrence with everyone, and Miles probably could have touched on it a little bit more. So you're always sort of on the back foot. So it's like you've got to be able to sort of like justify spending that. Now, we all got cash flow issues, but in a banking point of view, in a financing point of view, that's a bad terms for us. We don't want small businesses to have cash flow, because at the end of the day, the bank wants their money back. So,
of course,
surprisingly,
I know, right?
So, how do we juggle that? How do we juggle this debt and this? And it's the forever of the small business owner. It's like juggling everything to pay Peter, to pay Paul, to pay the tax office, and then you want to expand, so you want to use the bank's money. So it's a juggling act. I do understand it.
So let's talk specifics for a second. So what types of specific funding is available for small business? And give me, say like a nice little list we could pursue.
Oh, this is where we could get bogged down in the not in the detail, because when you start looking at it, and being a broker's point of view, there are so many lenders out there, and so many, they all have the idiosyncrasies and so many ways to get money. So for a small business owner, like your car finance, your equipment finance, do you need to buy a piece of equipment for your business? Can you touch in it that way? Invoice financing that we've already touched on before, that's a great way to get business. Trade finance, are you bringing in stuff from overseas? Can't you pay your suppliers? So suppliers that ship before they ship will want to get paid. So there's a trade financing that we can do. There's your usual line of credit or your overdraft facility, which if you set up through different finance companies. Banks have been shying away from that recently. So there's a lot more fintech lenders, we're calling them, who look at your business, your cash flow statements, or your bank statements, I should say, and they determine if your sales are good for actually getting business loans and or overdraft facilities. So as the world's moved, the big banks are actually being left behind in the way they look at transactions and look at deals. The fintechs are starting to come in, and I a couple of years before COVID came in and no one was using technology, there was there's hoo-ha about fintechs coming in, but what they've done is they've found the space in the market where the banks are lacking, and they're tapping into that space. We heard from SelectLink what they're doing. There's lots of fintechs that are starting up that actually, so your financing requirements might not fit the banks these days, but there'll be another lender or a little lender that it will fit.
No, you're not wrong. I mean, just even me personally, I mean, I was in the market to get a new vehicle. It was finally time to do that and to leverage the income flow I had on the business at that point halfway through this year. And the bank was like, yeah, no, you've banked with us, but personally for God knows how long, since I was a teenager. But your ABN's only a year and a half old. Yeah, like we're not even we're going to hang up the phone. Like, you've got any other questions? But we're hanging up the phone. I was like, oh, cool, okay, great, awesome, all right, done. And then immediately I was like, okay, well, at the moment, the best thing I need a car. I'll go and see what the dealership has, and then later on I can refinance when the choice comes. And that seemed to me at the moment was the best solution. It's definitely even more of a better solution now that the variable rate can continue to go up. But I think that's sort of a, for me, I'm finding as you're talking, it's amazing. Like, even at a small level, when something I'm dealing with, like, you have to be responsive to those things. If you need the money, you need to find it. But I think it's fascinating, as you said, that there's that trend away from the traditional sort of go to the bank. Can I have money? Can I not? There's other players out there doing it better now and doing it more niched. So is that your best advice as we go through different stages of a business journey, that we sort of tap into these more niche services that can more tailor the funding experience?
Yeah, by all means. And the people like myself, we're commercial brokers. We're predominantly for asset finance, but we're branching ourselves into cash flow lending, because there's so many small businesses and so many products out there that to actually sit from a business point of view, where do you go? What do you do? How do you get money? So there's different ways to tap into it. And like by speaking to someone like myself or any of my team or any of the commercial brokers, they'll actually help you and give you the guidance that you need to tap into different markets and different segments. Because
I've got to ask this question. What is the craziest product, if you can tell me, what is the craziest product that you have funded that people would traditionally think, nah, bank's never going to touch that? Like, who would fund that? But it's actually gone on to be really successful.
Oh, there's sort of many of the stories. Now you've got me on the spot because I really can't remember what the craziest thing sort of I funded was. But I remember we did a bottle line for a wine place, and it was a family company. They'd be making a sort of a couple of losses or something. So it was a bottling line, and they'd bought it secondhand. Oh, that's right. They bought it secondhand. The banks wouldn't touch it because it's coming from another wine place. And we've had to pull it all together because it's all from bits and pieces, put it all together, get an auction value on it, send out their valuers, tell me what it's worth. And we've managed to get finance for this bottling plant, it was called. And yeah, it's done. Currently, I'm working on a deal where we've got a big excavator, a spider excavator coming in from overseas. So that's a three-pronged attack. So we have to get the money money to get it here in the first place because he only has so much. And then when it gets here, we have to then give him the money back, put it on an equipment finance deal, and he just pays it off over the next 5 years. But it's been a different pronged attack to try and get, okay, we've got to get that shipped over here. We can't use this facility, so we'll use this one and bring it over here. So,
but I love that though. I love that there's a level of adaptability that's now entering into the market, such as yourself. It's not just a black and white. The gray area is becoming this. What the banks would consider a no man's land is you're going, okay, great. Well, that's a market that we're just going to tap into, and we're actually going to execute a smart strategy, not just give money away and then wait for the bankruptcy to come back and blah blah blah. That's obviously not the business you're in. So the growth of your clients is inherent to the growth of your own success as a broker, which as it comes through, it's just fantastic that you've really tapped into something like that and that it's available. I think that gives people in this call and it would give them a lot of inspiration that perhaps if they're moving into a new direction, that there is somebody that's going to pick up the phone like yourself and talk to them.
Well, and that's it, because because COVID sort of, no one's been through anything like COVID before, and we had a lot of businesses just shut down overnight. And I remember having a really big pub client on the phone. He couldn't access any of the government relief because it was a big business. But at the end of the day, there's nothing like you're open one day, you shut the next, and just having to throw all your food away. And he's like, what do I do, Tina? What do I do? So we managed to put his sort of payments on hold to get him through. He might be a big business, but he's still got the same pains as everybody else. So it was just watching, how do we help other people? And recently we had someone that was a tour company, and they were running tours out, and of course COVID wiped out their business for the time. But then as soon as they came out of COVID, because they have experiences, they take school kids out to the desert and school kids out there, they really took off coming out of COVID. Now, traditionally, there was no way that we could get them financed through the banks because their last 2 years' returns have been crap.
Yeah.
And they've got, we've actually finally got over the argument of the cash flow boost that the government gave us, because the banks go, oh, no, we can't lend on you because you take that out, there's no servicing, which you have to have servicing in Australia. But we had to change the conversation going, yeah, but if they were working or could do what they could, they didn't need this money. So you've got to look at it as a whole.
No, that's a great way of turning that conversation and restructuring it so that, and again, like I'm sure that these businesses that you're helping I think just generally when someone takes a chance on you, I think that's really, it's inspiring. Okay, in the heartfelt sense, but also as a business point of view, and the staff that's being supported with that cash flow as well, and the enterprise that's going behind it. I think that's just fantastic that you were able to lift those situations up, and all it really takes is just restructuring the conversation.
Yes.
Speaking of sort of when that conversation should take place, and then how long approvals can last, can you give us an idea of, if, say, for instance, like someone out there is thinking about, funding, when should they be looking? And then how long can they expect those approvals to last?
Okay, they should be looking they've got to look for finance before they actually need it. I know before they get into distress. I've worked on a deal recently that we needed 250 grand to bring in some stuff because the guy, it was a warehousing or wholesaling place bringing in all these clothes, but the supply changed the terms. So they desperately needed 250 grand to get the clothes here, and the shipment was due to come, blah, 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 blah. So we're running around like headless chickens to trying to get them the money, and we had to go with whatever we could get. So if you start the process say if you want to get a shipment of clothes in, start it, or if you're importing from overseas or doing whatever, actually get money before you really, 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 really need it, because the really, really, really need it money is very expensive. So if you can actually start putting it all in place, with equipment financing, we know that there's a supply issue at the moment. It's taking forever to get your new car. It's taking forever to get your new excavator. So if you know about a month out, then that's the best time to start sort of looking at it, because if you don't get the money, the dealer will sell the car. So don't listen to them. They'll figure out a way to do it. So
They're going to
don't
get their
put
money
your-
at the end of the day, just like the
yeah,
banks,
and they'll
right?
sell the car anyway. There's so many people waiting. They'll just sell the next. They'll sell it on to the next person. But if you approvals generally last for 3 months.
Okay.
Anyway, is the general rule of thumb. And some banks, because they know that, or some finance companies, I should say, because they know the length of time things are coming, will go for 6 months, but generally 30 days. And in that time, you can either settle it or just keep your broker or your bank informed, because you can just push it forward. You can just roll it down push it forward. If you know it's going to be a month out or a couple of weeks after the due date, just tell them and they'll push it forward for you.
Curiously on that, like there's is there leniency in that, in the sense that, is there any penalties according to like credit checks and so forth?
No. Yes, you do have credit checks. It will affect your CRA, but when we've done the first one, and we know that the approval is good for 30 days, we will not check it again. If it pushes out to 6 months without the bank's consent, then they will do another credit check. But it's just to make sure that nothing's fallen over in the process.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
Fair
that
enough.
you haven't actually gone bankrupt in the 6 months you've taken to get the goods. But generally within 3 months, you know that things are going on. So.
Oh, that's good, because I think if that was, just again speaking sort of anecdotally for myself, like I know that I was worried about that, having to constantly go back saying, look, I want to be able to know if like I'm ready. I'm doing that whole like month ahead kind of thing as you described. I sort of was living that, but yet there was just a weird bit of time where it just didn't fall quite right. And I'm like, well, I don't want, can I get pre-approved? And, there's going to be another credit check. So I don't need a hard, like check on my accounts if I just need like a few days or something or a couple of weeks. So it's nice that sort of leniency is built into that. So
well, that's
a good
it
thing.
too. And they generally don't do another credit check, unless sort of something's come up and you want to do something. But there is some time. Like everything's fluid at the moment. My first questions when someone rings me up, it's like, yeah, I want a new car. When's delivery? Because if it's like, oh, the dealer says 6 months, I'm like, well, no chance. We're not going to do anything at the moment, because it's it's going to waste my time, and B, it's irrelevant. It's not going to be good. And the rates don't hold anyway. So we have to, it's rate of the day when we get documented. So we just sit and wait. It was when the days when we could actually do everything in a week, it was like one of those days, you bring someone to ring up on a Monday, bought a car on the weekend. Yes, you could have it the following weekend. They're gone. So
absolutely.
just be mindful. It's like, yeah, we used to work and we used to process quite a lot and stuff. And now it's sort of like a 2-week turnaround, because it's not only getting the car, there's a whole heap of compliance that's behind the scenes these days, which you don't ever see us working on. It's not about the finance. It's about making sure that there's no compliance crap, for one of a better word, that we're working on behind the scenes to get done for you to get your car in the time you require it. So.
Yeah, and do you sort of, when you're operating with people, like I sort of touched on what you just said before about sort of that example of someone come to you, say 6 months, and they really want to block that in. You're like, well, there's no point, Now, like, do you give them, like, say, for instance, people who are their first foray into getting major funding for a particular piece of capital or whatever, or an asset, are you like able to give them that roadmap? So does that to lock them into wanting to work with you, but at the same time say, look, we're not sending you away because we can't be bothered dealing with you, which is, here's an effective roadmap of how the process is going to take. Do you sort of give people that sense?
Yes, yeah. So it's like when I'm talking to people, I just don't go, oh, no, go away. Don't want to talk to you for 6 months, But that's the clients that repeat. They know us and they know me. And it's like, yeah, happy to do this. I'll put it in my diary. I'll give you a call in such and such a date and we'll give you a call. If it's a new client, it is take step-by-step process. It's like, yes, I can give you the numbers now. So you can actually start your budgeting, so you can have a look at it, see what you're going to do, and then just give me a call back, start getting your details together. So I'm going to need to get it sorted, to go away and collect all those information. Then about a month out, let's revisit it. We'll have a chat again and then do it. So I'm actually taking them step by step through the whole process, finding out when it is. And if someone really, really wants an approval before they go and order a car, certainly, I've done that many of times and have to rejig it back again when the car finally arrives. The turnaround's actually becoming shorter again. There is cars coming into the country, yay, and equipment coming back in. So the supply chains issues are slowly but surely fixing themselves.
Yes, they're no longer getting their ships locked up in the Suez Canal and an Evergreen.
Well, yeah, and everyone's actually got so used to it now. Doesn't seem to be that rush that used to be happening as well. And and we do a lot with small businesses and with small business finance. I'm just like, well, why is there a hurry to get your car on a Friday when it's supposed to be technical business use? So anyway,
Yeah, that's true. No, that's a fair enough. I think that's a good way of putting it too. I mean, you're right. Like that planning ahead to then find the right time to do it should be part of any discussion in a business, as opposed to like, if we just get it now, we'll get it now. I think that's definitely, a critical step in a business plan for, say, the next 6 to 12 months, depending on the need for what that ROI of that particular asset or, inventory would be. So it's a clever conversation to have as well, to get people into people's minds. People just want everything now,
Yeah.
So
well, that's it. And that's what we're playing with as well. It's like, yes, especially with the assets. It's like, I've made my decision. I want my car. And I'm like, I want it. And I was like, yeah, I get that. But we just got to, there's processes and we just need to do this. And people just don't realize it's just the whole stream of things that are going on behind the scenes that no one ever sees. You just go, yeah, sign these docs, get your car, off you go. But they haven't seen that we've done, compliance checks with who, make sure who you are, you say you are, and blah, 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 blah. So yeah, Google's become our best friend.
Oh, absolutely. It's a great place. And I've got one final question for you. And it's you've touched on it before, but sort of more definitively. Why should I deal with a broker like yourself and not my bank?
Do I really need to answer that question? Have anyone dealt with their
Ia
bank
wanted
recently?
you to answer it, so I'm gonna do what the boss says.
That's just a tongue in cheek as well, because
No.
we know more stuff. The banker only knows their one product, or their products. They only know theirs, whereas a broker knows so many other products. And we're actually in business ourselves. So my business is helping you get your financing. So unless I'm doing a really good job, I don't get paid. So bankers get paid all the time. Not like we're sort of talking about that, but I am myself and my team are across so many different products that if you come to us, we'll give you a quick interview. You're going to fit here, here, and here, and that's sort of know what to do. Where the bank, they're still waiting, and we're fast and quick because we want you to get your asset. Or if there's no time delays, and we know that, then we'll get you into that asset. So so the basic thing is we're nicer. I think we're real people.
I was going to say, actually, do you welcome them into your office? You put a coffee on, you put
real
some nice
people.
spa music on.
Yeah, farm music and stuff. No, but we treat them like they're real people. And you get the same person back. Like my phone is constantly attached to my shoulder or hip because you get me on the phone, you get me on the mobile number, you get any of our staff members on the mobile.
Yeah.
So we're just there all the time. You're not talking to 10 different people. You're talking to us.
No, I love that. Because I mean, right now, I think one of the going things in the community that people are really, really noticing is that, banks are, for instance, like half the ones in my local area and where I'm from, like we're all closing up. And that really has an impact on people, in terms of people's personal finances and access to, to information, but also just generally if they wanted to have those bigger conversations.
Yep.
They're now going to this sort of robot AI face where it's just like an ATM, and obviously it only has a certain amount of things, or you have to punch like 5 to 10 directory numbers on the phone, and then you're talking to AI people, and then finally get to the person. I mean, I had that personal experience. I got all the way to the end, and then after 2 sets of phone calls, that was the end result. Yeah, no, we can't deal with you. Goodbye. And I'm like, well, why did I go through all this? I thought I liked you.
Yeah, so exactly. No, we won't actually have you on hold for that long. No, exactly. But you'll talk to me, or you'll get my number, and we've got an office as well. So you come through and we'll give you the answer really quickly. Go, no, you're not going to wait yet. Can you wait 6 months because you're a new ABN? So 2 years is better than 1 year. As you go on your journey, it's better to be GST registered too, by the way, not just an ABN. So as you're on your journey, we go, oh yeah, I can do that. But can you just wait? When is it being delivered? So that's going to push your ABN out longer. Then I can do better. Can do this and stuff. So it's having those conversations, thinking outside the box, I think, because no small business is the same. And the banks really want to make them all the same. You fit this box and that's it.
I know, right? Yeah. It's just put us all into silos that end up getting us on some sort of, interest account that just accrues and accrues and accrues.
Well, that's it too. So yeah, we just sort of have a chat with you, find out, what do you want? Now, how can we help you then get where you want to go using all the stuff that we know is out there?
So we have to wrap up, but I do want to ask just a couple of things. One, where can we find you if we want to physically come to you?
We are based in North Sydney, and I think if you just go to click on any of the links, you could just, go to Laurentide Finance. We're all there. We've got a big website. We can do that. I've got a mobile number as well. It's always on fine. Oh, and through LinkedIn. Very big on LinkedIn. So just contact me through LinkedIn. And there you go. The website's just popped up. And Caroline is on the call here too. She's one of my staff members or works with us as well. So we're out all the time talking to people. So you'll probably see us as you walk around.
I love that. And so definitely take advantage of that, because I think this is like a really critical time for all of you out there listening today and watching. And then Caroline said, hi. Hey, Caroline. Yeah, definitely take advantage of that time, because that's maybe that is how you take advantage of this 10-minute break we've got coming up in just a second. And one final question. What is do you have any plans for more philanthropic adventures?
I'm desperate to get back to Kenya next year, but I don't think I will make it. But not at the moment. I'm doing volunteering from Youth Off the Streets as well, where I'm here in Australia. So I do that sort of once a month. And being a CAPA board member is also a volunteer role. So just running out a bit of time these days.
No. Trust me, you're already doing a lot more than what people think. You already have the time to fit in. I mean, it does help that you have Caroline as well to work for.
Yeah, and it does talk that I talk really, really fast, so it's fine.
Well, you've done perfectly today. Thank you so much, Tina. It's been a pleasure to have you here.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Okay, thanks, guys.